I work on a new book always.
Ernest Hemingway had many homes, but on July 2nd, 1961, this cabin in Ketchum, Idaho, became his last. 93-year-old Bud Purdy remembers.
It was a real sad day. That's sad for us. We liked him. Yeah, he was a friend.
That morning, 50 years ago, Hemingway took his own life in his foyer with a shotgun.
So we saw it in the paper. That's how we saw it. We saw it in the paper before I guess we saw it anywhere. And
Bud Purdy was one of Hemingway's hunting companions and one of the last people to witness the depression that clouded his final years.
He was very uncertain about everything. He wasn't all there. His mind wasn't working good.
What happened to Hemingway? It's a question we're still trying to sort out. Fame kind of ate him in a way.
Hemingway was a journalist before he was a novelist, from an early age, practicing and refining his Spartan style.
When this first book came out, The Sun Also Rises, it was as if he invented a new kind of language.
In a strictly American idiom, in a plain-spoken, unadorned style. I think for many writers, this opened the floodgates.
Hemingway moved to Paris in the 1920s, continuing a worldwide tour that would last for decades. He lived in Florida, safaried in Africa, reported on the Spanish Civil War, and sailed the Caribbean, many times crossing to Cuba. All the while writing and understanding that what he left out was more important than what he put in.
He said the dignity of an iceberg is derived from the fact that 7/8 of it are underwater. And he hit on that principle fairly early. And he said, I'll keep 1/8 above the water. And the dignity of this story will be this glacially, incredibly powerful thing moving underneath, that if it hits the Titanic, it'll break it apart.
In America, no place celebrates the life and legend of Hemingway quite like Key West, where he spent 10 years. He wrote A Farewell to Arms inside this room.
Well, he worked on it.
Local author Michael Haskins took us to Casa Antigua, where Hemingway's love affair with the island first began.
I think that Key West is, to an artist, a writer or an artist, is a muse or can be a muse. He found a home.
Haskins would know. You came here entirely because of Ernest Hemingway.
Yeah. The first trip was here because I knew I would never be back and I wanted to see his house.
And once you saw his house, you said, I want to stay.
He's been a hero of mine since I was in high school.
I think most people who come to Key West ask, where's Hemingway's house? And there's some really wonderful connection there. Some of his best writing was done here.
Hemingway's years in the Keys were his most productive. Mornings spent writing in the second-floor studio of his home on Whitehead Street. Many afternoons at sea.
The size of these marlins were enormous.
They were, and we even have some pictures of a fish that he brought in Bahamas, and when they finally pulled the fish up, most of its parts were missing because the sharks had been feasting on it. So,
a la Old Man in the Sea.
Old Man in the Sea, right.
But Claudia Pennington says his books aren't always what inspire Hemingway admirers to make the pilgrimage.
Very few of them have read more than 2 of his novels. So it isn't the fact that he was a wonderful novelist, it's his persona. And there was something about this 20th century man, that he was the war hero, he was the great white hunter, he was the bullfighter, and he became the great fisherman too. So
he was the man.
He was the man, absolutely.
So I'm supposed to order a Papa Doble, right?
Yes, I think that's appropriate. That's what Ernest Hemingway drank, and I think that's what you should have.
Sloppy Joe's may not look very Hemingway-esque, but it's where he famously drank. They do their best to pay tribute.
I don't really know where Hemingway sat, but I've always told people he sits by the pole over there, and that seems to work.
They buy it?
They buy it. They buy it.
Every year in July, Key West hosts Hemingway Days, a campy festival where Papa lookalikes populate the island. And Hemingway is remembered in his prime. For you, there's Hemingway. Is anybody else even close?
For me, no.
Because for many, his death is as distant as Ketchum, Idaho is from Key West. It's his life and his life's work that lives on.